writing process? Because you've spoken already about how this was for your masters and what you did with it afterwards, but I wanted to find out, I mean, for every writer, it's completely different. Do you map out the whole story beforehand, or do you let it lead you to see where it goes? Do you have your characters figured out beforehand, or also does that just come as it goes? What is your writing process like?
So I have to presage this by saying I've been in advertising since I was a child. And in advertising, you get a brief, you write the bones, and you then fill in the bones. And because I was experimenting at bits, and I mean, I've written all my life, but I haven't written a novel, I was very loose with where I was going. I didn't plot, I didn't plan. In fact, I just try to find the voice, no matter what was going on. So I would write and write and write, and then it would sort of coalesce into something. In the second year, when I was doing plot, and of course you go into a room and you criticize very constructively by a bunch of people, and I was kind of allowed to experiment. But there is, rising stakes, the whole story of the way a story works is kind of universal. And I, in a sense, re-engineered a lot of it into that construct, because sometimes nothing was happening. And if nothing was happening there and she was just looking at her navel. So the answer is no, I didn't. But in the third year, when I had to put it together, I had to be very mindful. And in fact, when I went back to line edit, which is, no one tells you what an editor does. No one tells you what a line editor does. So I had a lump of fantastic writing, and the structure was imposed later. In fact, I was going to make her a dog. I was going to make her a man. I was going to do a whole lot of stuff. And I realized, unless the character is consistent, no one's not going to know what's going on. So her character is consistent through the ages, but the stories around her shift and change. I've just registered for my PhD through University of Pretoria.
Well done.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to be considered. But because it's the following book, I mean, maybe one day I'll give up the academic need, because it does give you kind of ferry wheels to focus on. And this time I might, for the next pieces, which also come out of the past, I might have a clearer idea. I had a proposal. I knew what I was going to say, but I didn't know in what form it was going to emerge. When I discovered I was doing a picaresque, I sort of unconsciously knew it, then I consciously knew it. They always say, you don't know what you don't know, then you do know what you don't know, then you know what you know, then you don't know. So you rise through. I think it was more that process that got me into the structure and the way. The thing I had to do was sit down, hopefully not every single day, but have a writing routine where I went from my bed to my desk without doing anything else and sat down and wrote for 4 or 5 hours, which is about the maximum I can do, and then tidy it up. But I know that there are people that they say minimalist and maximalist or whatever. They're people, what's it called? People who write by the seat of the pants, and people who construct. It's a bit of a combination, but I don't think one should be like fenced in by one's determination at the start, because it does evolve. And then the story, Salman Rushdie says, and the story writes you, you love for that to happen. But yeah, so it's more about the structure and the discipline, and the structure maybe also needs another eye. I worked with an editor very closely to develop the novel from the MA into a novel, and I couldn't see the faults. And in a way, that's what, not the faults, but where it needed work. And Alison Lowry was invaluable to me. I could not have completed this without a novel whisperer, as I called her.
So you've got a couple of glowing reviews, but I have to say the one that will stand out for many people is Stephen Fry, because he's an absolute genius. So I had to ask you, how did you manage to get Stephen Fry to read your book? Do you know him personally?
I didn't. I know somebody who knew him, and I asked this person if I could reach out to him, and he said yes, very graciously. I spent 6 hours constructing an email that wasn't gushing and wasn't fangirling. I took my cojones, so a combination of chutzpah, luck, which is preparation meets opportunity. I'd reached out to other people before. So, when you I queried Jonathan Safran Foer's agent. I was here I am. I'm the girl version of Jonathan. Well, I didn't really hear back from her. So he's a gracious and amazing man. I wrote to him and I asked him if he would like to read the book when it's printed. I sent him an extract. I sent him some of my examiner reports. I sent him the reflective essay was written from Wanda's point of view. In fact, you'd enjoy to read it. And it's kind of it's a send up academic article on the way the book was constructed, written by my character. Witz said, no, darling, this is far too creative. It was, it was outside the bounds of the academic
Too
realm.
creative.
Well, yes, but not, it was just a bridge too far for them. But he had said, I've read enough around and about to say, take this, fillet it. I can sell 3 books and I will still have my fairy godfather. And then I asked him, are you sure? Are you absolutely? Because I said to him, I'd like to send you the book when it's finished. He said, yes. He wrote the shout, as one would call it. I made absolutely sure. Are you sure? Are you sure? And we've been corresponding. He's not a deep friend of mine, but he's a fellow mind. And I think that the validation, the people at Varsity, they thought it was great. And Alison thought it was good enough to work with me. So, I mean, there's no readers out there until you've finished. So the fact that he was kind of one of my first readers I feel blessed, but I feel that the time was right. 3-4 years ago, I might have fangirled him out of any connection with me. I mean, I've stalked agents in London before. I've taken my chutzpah into this, which is interesting because when you're writing the book, it's introvert city. You're sitting down at a desk in a dark room. This was I wrote to him in October, and because of COVID, the book had been delayed. And very fortunately, he got back to me in time so that it could be on the book. And he is, sorry, Steve, don't know what to out you, but he's a gay Jewish Englishman. And I've always kind of thought my animus was a gay man. I'm kind of, gay man trapped in a woman's body. So I connect with that humor. I connect with that energy, and lo and behold. So I would say to any writers out there, don't be afraid of rejection. Collect rejection slips. If you didn't ever respond to me, he doesn't respond to every mail I send. And then I wait for 3 weeks until, he's not my boyfriend. He's not my uncle. He's just a very kind and menschy man in the literary space. And in fact, his last email to me was that Wanda is a Jewish Molly Bloom let loose in history. And I'll hold that to my heart till the day I die. But also I've never met, the fact that there are readers out there now, it's beautiful validation that Stephen Fry loves Wanda. It's got nothing to do with me. He loves Wanda and he loves the voice. And I think that the strongest point in the book really is the way the character narrates her story.
What is next for you? Are you thinking of doing a second novel?
So like I said, I think I've got a little tiny bit of an academic chip, little bit. I did my BA when I was 20 back in the day, and I wanted this MA because I knew it would give me the structure and discipline I needed. And on New Year's Eve, this like 3 weeks ago, I thought, what about a PhD? And so I wrote to David Medali and I said, am I too late? And he said, no, you're not. And I sent him the pieces that I qualify for. So I'm registered at UP, University of Pretoria. He's the most amazing hands-on supervisor. And I have a few projects. In fact, in the first year of the PhD, you can write what you like. You're set free. But because I know that there's somebody who's waiting for pieces, I've got a lot of self-discipline. But I thought that my second book is most likely going to be, I don't know if you want to put this out there. There's a concept in the Talmud, which is kol isha, means all women's voices. And it's been taken out of the Song of Solomon, out of context, in my opinion, that basically a man cannot hear the sound of a woman's voice. He's forbidden because get an erection. I don't know what they are so afraid of. So I might start off, and because I want to do multiple perspectives, I might start off looking at the short story form to see where I want to go with this, because kol isha is quite a big theme, and I suppose that's what Wanda was about as well. But I'm very curious again about women's voices being oppressed and suppressed in a humorous way. So that might form the basis, and also again my life experiences of having had my voice silenced. So it starts from kind of experience, it moves in through some kind of mythology. I'm also looking at an Echo and Narcissus tale, which I want to take from my childhood and turn into fiction. So I'm waking up again after a long proofread, and I need to get back to my writing discipline. So there will be another one. I might as well get a doctorate while I'm at it. I don't want to be. It's a fun thing to do, to have, because for a year you write, And then you have to do a thesis allied to a theme from the writing. And I like that idea because it keeps my sort of my creative brain is nuts and my sober brain is quite grounded. So between the balance and a lot of therapy. I reckon I know who I am. I'm not a young girl anymore. I've always wondered why I couldn't have written at a younger age. I've got a business that thrives, that I've built up over a number of decades now, which is a storytelling agency. And the structure and discipline to have it will have me back at that desk after a bit of melancholia. I think there's a kind of postpartum that happens after a book gets published that I believe a lot of people experience. But there will be more.
That's wonderful to hear, because like I said to you before, I really, really love this book. I've got this huge TBR pile, obviously, as a reviewer, just, and it's been sitting there for a couple of months, and I knew I probably would enjoy it because I'd looked at this premise and I was like, no, this is going to be great. This is going to be great. And with the moment I picked it up, it just flowed into me, and Wanda's character became so real to me. So I wanted to say thank you for writing this. This was an absolute joy.
And that's why I wrote it. I mean, it's only just begun, and she's only been out for 2 months. And thank you for that. It warms the cockles of my heart. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for talking to me. I really, really appreciate it.